Mickey Mouse keeps kicking Ron DeSantis' ass over and over again. $1 billion leaving the state of Florida because of one man and his political mission. All right, let's put him up full mast. Now remember, it was Ron DeSantis who said he is the business champion for Florida. As a matter of fact, when he launches his presidential campaign, he's going to say he can bring America back, and economy will be primary to that proclamation. However, in March, Disney called Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida anti-business for his scorched earth attempt to tighten oversight of the company's theme park near Orlando. Last month, when Disney sued the governor and his allies for what it called a targeted campaign of government retaliation, the company made clear that a $17 billion in planned investment opportunity in Walt Disney World was on the line. So let's be very clear about the rules here. Conservatives typically will wax poetic about how Twitter is violating their constitutional rights. As a matter of fact, President Donald Trump, former president of the United States, filed a lawsuit against a private company because he could not adhere to the rules he signed to be a user on the platform. So they have been claiming this is in fact a violation of free speech because they are deplatforming us. But the irony of what happened in Florida, Disney says something contrary to the political belief of Ron DeSantis. Governor DeSantis decides to utilize the awesome power of government to penalize said company. Well, that is actually a constitutional violation. That is government creating a restriction and prohibition by way of penalty to your protected speech. Aren't they the ones who said companies are people? There's more. All right, does the state want us to invest more, employ more people, and pay more taxes or not? Disney's chief executive said this on an earnings-related conference call with analysts last week. On Thursday, Mr. Iger and Josh D'Amaro, Disney's theme park and consumer products chairman, showed that they were not bluffing, pulling the plug on an office complex that was scheduled for construction in Orlando at a cost of roughly $1 billion. It would have brought more than 2,000 Disney jobs to the region with an average salary of $120,000 a year. That's according to an estimate from the Florida Department of Economic Opportunity. The project near Lake Nona Town Center was supposed to cost $864 million, but recent price estimates have been closer to $1.3 billion. Disney had planned to relocate as many as 2,000 employees from Southern California, including most of a department known as Imagineering, which works with Disney movies to develop theme park attractions. Most of the affected employees complained bitterly about having to move. Some quit, but Disney held firm, partly because of Florida tax credit that would have allowed the company to recoup as much as $570 million over 20 years for building and occupying the complex. That has been the great attraction for the state of Florida for decades. As a matter of fact, individuals retire to Florida because of rules in reference to taxation and also rules connected to garnishment. So they go to Florida in order to affix rules that are a little different than everyone else. So Florida officials have repeatedly pointed out to the Lake Nona development. They've repeatedly said this is an example of economic vibrancy in Orlando, which suffered mightily during the pandemic, noting that hotel chains and retailers are moving into the Lake Nona area in anticipation of Disney's arrival. The Orlando Business Journal in January called the complex a major economic driver for the region. In a statement, Jerry L. Demings, the mayor of Orange County, which includes Orlando, said it was unfortunate that Disney canceled its plans. However, This is a strong statement. However, these are the consequences. When there isn't an inclusive and collaborative work environment between the state of Florida and the business community, end quote. Let's put him up. Who's a happy camper? This guy. What did the governor of California say? So Governor Gavin Newsom said, that's 2,000 plus jobs that will be welcomed back with open arms to the Golden State. He said this on Twitter, end quote. There it is. Was you already know what's happening. The man overplayed his hand playing this political red meat to the base game, and literally it has had actual real consequence to the bottom line of Florida and to the citizens of his state because he decided to use them like a lab experiment. What are your thoughts?
I think the worst part about this is nobody even remembers what this was originally over. What was the beef over? There was a trans character in one Disney property. We're talking about a company that puts out we'll probably put out like 100 things this year between the Disney Channel and Disney Plus and Marvel and Star Wars.
More, maybe more than 100. Yeah.
One character was like trans or something, and Ron DeSantis said, this is a company that's too woke, I need to attack them. And this has gone incredibly poorly for him. This is not some company you can just bum rush or knock over. These people have ties, not just in the community, but obviously they are also politically connected. They do not need Ron DeSantis to function. And so they can bring their economic might wherever they want. They don't need to be in Florida. There's nothing especially special about Florida. I know this might be news breaking or something, but there's nothing all that special about Florida. And yeah, they can do stuff at Disneyland in California. Hell, they're rich enough, they can make a new Disney World in some other state with warm weather. This was always wrong-headed and stupid. And like I said to start, nobody even knows what it started over. I bet you none of the people whose vote Ron DeSantis is trying to court could even tell you why he's beefing with Disney. Just generally that they're too woke.
That's exactly what they were saying. Then when you ask, what does woke mean? They have zero idea.